Hello, this is Catherine Marie, and you are listening to Long COVID Real Talk podcast. Today, I wanted to talk about how to go to a baby shower if you have long COVID. So, I recently went to my youngest sister's baby shower. It was in Portland, Oregon. I flew from the San Jose airport to Portland. The San Jose airport is quite small, and I definitely prefer it to San Francisco International Airport because it's easier to get around if you have long COVID. I walked in and asked someone at the front desk, excuse me, if I could have a wheelchair, and they called for one, and then they ended up leaving and the counter was closed, and then I waited for about 10 minutes and nobody came. And I thought, the airport is pretty small and I have a lot of time before my flight. So I think I'm just going to walk really, really slowly. And I've had a little bit more insight lately into, or as I should say, as to what puts me into overexertion because of the visible band. I was only able to wear it for 2 or 3 days, and then I developed a rash from the band. So I have not been wearing it, but just wearing it for those days helped me to understand what causes me to go into overexertion mode. So I talked to my little sister because she has the band and she's the one that convinced me to get it. And she also did not like the band that it came with and ended up purchasing a band on Etsy that is not giving her any problems. So the plan is for me to purchase a band on Etsy, but I just keep forgetting to do it. Okay, so back to the story. So I walked through the San Jose airport, and it was a little bit tiring, but I kept stopping and taking breaks and sitting down. There were a few places where I just sat on the ground because there were no chairs. And thankfully, these were in areas that were like long hallways that were carpeted. So it wasn't, it didn't seem particularly weird to have someone sitting on the ground. Not that that would have stopped me, but so I ended up getting on the flight. The flight there was uneventful in a good way. My little one that I brought with me was engaged on my cell phone playing games, and I was pretty bored, and I was thinking I probably should have brought something for her to do other than use my phone. But anyway, we live and we learn, right? So we arrive in Portland, and the airport is quite large. I had purposefully said that I do not need any help on the ramp. I can walk up the ramp. I just need help at the gate. So when I was getting off the plane, there were 4 people with wheelchairs who were waiting in the ramp to go up to the gate from the plane. And I was not sure if any of them were for me because, like I said, when I had called to set up the wheelchair, it was just going to be from the gate. So I walked up to the gate and I waited there and nobody came. And then the 4 people who had been in the ramp from the plane came out, and none of them had anyone in any of the 4 wheelchairs. So I stopped the first guy in the line and I said, "Hey, I set up a wheelchair for myself. I thought that I specified that I didn't need help from the ramp. I just needed help at the gate onwards. And the guy said, "Oh, well, you should just ask one of these other people." And he like literally just left. And then a woman was next and she said, "Oh, no, no. Why didn't you ask him?" Or, and I was just like, I did. He told me to ask one of you. And she just left. And then another guy just completely didn't even make eye contact and just left. And then there was one last guy, and I just said, "Can I please," and he was like, "You need a ride? Okay, you have, a ride. Okay." And it was really, really nice. And he said, he asked for my ticket, and I gave him my ticket, and he scanned it. And I sat down in the chair and he said, "Do you need to go to the bathroom?" And I said, "Oh, that would be great. Is that allowed?" And he said, "Yeah." So he pushed me to the bathroom. Now, when my little one and I had packed for this trip, I did not pay for a carry-on and I did not pay for a checked bag. I have these cute little rolly bags that fit into the personal item space under the seat. So the airlines like Spirit or Frontier, or the ones where the tickets are super, super, super cheap, but then you only get a personal item and then they charge you extra for the carry-on, etc. So this was my way of gaming the system so I could go on flights cheaply without having to check a bag or pay for a carry-on. So I had just these two little rolly bags and I put them on my lap, and my little one held my hand and we stopped at the bathroom. We went to the bathroom. We came back and this gentleman pushed me. I think the whole trip was about an hour. I'm not kidding. I looked at my watch at the end and I could not believe how long he had pushed me in this wheelchair. And I couldn't believe how long my daughter had walked next to the wheelchair. We walked through the entire airport. Then there was this whole back way to get to the car rentals. And then even after I rented the car, he actually took me to the car itself because there was a tremendous amount of walking from the car rental desk to the actual car. So I have been told, and please feel free to correct me on this, but I've been told not to tip the people that push you in a wheelchair because it's part of their job. And it's like one of those things where you're not supposed to tip. But I was so blown away by this gentleman's kindness and his integrity, and the fact that he was the only one of four people who were willing to push me in a wheelchair. I already felt weird enough asking, for help. And I hate doing it. I know I don't look like I need it. It's like, I get it. I get it. But I was so grateful to this man that I gave him a tip, and I just gave him a 20 because it's like what I had. And I was just like, "Thank you so much." And I just didn't even know how else to thank him other than just thank him profusely. He was so kind, and I don't think I would have made it, or if I would have made it, I would have been completely into post-exertional malaise land by the end of the trip out to Portland. So I was very, very, very grateful for this man pushing me in the wheelchair. And then the other piece of that was when he pushed me to the car rental desk. I stood up from the wheelchair and leaned against the desk, and they said, "Oh, hello," and I said, "Hi, I have my reservation. It's for $115." And by the time he went through everything and asked me questions and all that, then he said, "Okay, it's going to be $395." And I said, "Whoa, wait, what?" Like I was so confused. I said, "Wait, why? Why? I thought it was going to be 115." And I said, "How much is the car seat?" Because I had requested a car seat for my little one. And he said, "Oh, it's $13 a day, so it's $26." I said, "Okay, so how do we get from 115 plus 26, but how do we get to 395?" He said, "Oh, well, because the additional car insurance that like some car insurance that they said that I needed, because they said that they have a special rule that if you get into an accident, that you will have to pay at the regular rate per day, because he said I had a promotional rate. Every single day that the car is being fixed, I have to pay the regular rate plus all of the repairs onto the car." And I was just like, "Wait, I thought you said that was $35." And he said, "Oh, it was $35 a day." And I was like, "What?" Okay, let's get rid of that. So then I said, "Okay, what else is making it so high?" And he was like, "Oh, well, the $50." I was like, "Oh, for the gas." He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, yeah, I'll fill it up with gas." And then we were still high, and I said, "What else? What else?" He's like, "Oh, well, you were going to do the $10 extra to get a Camry." And I was like, "No, that's okay." He said, "Well, it'll give you better gas mileage than the smaller car." And I said, "Oh, I don't, it's okay. I really want to keep my costs low." And I could tell at this point that he was starting to feel bad for me because the guy's like waiting with the wheelchair, and my daughter's sitting there, she's standing next to me, and I'm clutching the counter and just seeming very confused because I just couldn't believe that the price was so jacked up based on what seemed to be simple questions. But anyway, so he ended up giving me the Camry for free. I had requested the wild card car, and so that he could give me anything, and he was going to give me the smaller car, but he said that, you know, he asked me if I had AAA, and I said yes, and he said, "Oh, okay, I'll just give you the Camry." And I said, "Okay, thanks." So that was exhausting. That was actually more exhausting than the amount of walking that I did, because it was it was yeah, it was just very interesting to me how how predatory it felt. But in the end, I ended up paying $150 for the time that I was in Portland, which I thought was pretty good. So anyway, we get into the Camry, and it's a brand new Camry. It's beautiful. And we drove to the hotel, and we went to bed. And then the next day, we woke up, and of course, my daughter woke up at 5 a.m., very excited to see her aunties. And I got her some breakfast. We went to the place where the baby shower was to help with setup, and I helped with setting up the flowers and one of the tables that was going to be outside where people were going to write their advice and well wishes and everything. And then I was helping with the candles and putting out pictures of the mom and dad to be, and helping to set the table and all these little things. I was helping out the person who was coordinating the event, who is the sister-in-law of my little sister. So, okay, so in the end, what do we need to do to be able to go to a baby shower? So first, be prepared to rest a lot the week leading up to it and a lot the week after it. Try to not go to everything, but just to go to the shower part. I was not able to do that because my little sister's in-laws wanted the other sister and I, who were there, to come back after, excuse me, the baby shower, to have dinner with them. And they made a beautiful Polish meal. It was so yummy. But anyway, I didn't really feel like I had an option, so I came back. But I was able to take a 3-hour nap with my little one at the hotel before going back for dinner. So that was good. The most difficult part for me was pacing because I was running around and doing flowers and making flower arrangements and cutting all the plastic off the flowers and just all the different things. So that I felt like I didn't do a super great job of pacing. The other thing I wanted to recommend is, if you are going to rent a car, to make sure that you do order it ahead of time, because if you wait until you're there, the prices are a lot higher than if you order them online ahead of time. That is what the person told me at the front desk. I sent all of the presents ahead of time because I didn't have the space in my personal item to bring the presents. So I sent them up to the in-laws of my little sister ahead of time. And then some of the presents I sent with my little sister, who lives relatively close to me, but she drove up to the shower. So I gave her some presents to bring in her car as well. I decided to not bring the baby seat, the car seat, because it was a definite decision to not try to carry a car seat around the airport. I stand by that decision. I think it was the right decision because I'm just thinking about energy conservation every step of the way. The hardest part for me was, like I said, pacing when I was setting up, but also it was really, really difficult to have conversations with people. It is very draining to be a good listener. I'm not naturally a very good listener. So I've gotten better with time and with practice, but it's really hard for my brain to follow people, especially if it's not a topic that I'm really engaged with because of the ADHD. So I think those are all of the things that I can think of for how to go to a baby shower with long COVID. We had a lovely time. My little sister's in-laws were so sweet and so kind and just thrilled to pieces that my sister and I were there. My other sister and my sister, who is their daughter-in-law, and I were there. And I also was in charge of the computer, to have the computer on my sister while she was opening up the presents, so our family back east could see her. I don't remember if it was a Google Meet or I don't remember exact. I think it might have been a Zoom call or something. But anyway, we had it set up so that people back east could participate as well. Excuse me. So that is it. That is how I did the shower. What would I do differently? On the way home, I did not ask for a wheelchair because I just had a ton of time and I just felt like I could walk really slowly and stop when I needed to. But looking back, I probably should have asked for a wheelchair. I don't know. It just seemed like it was also a really long walk to get to the desk of the airline. I just saw it way across the big open area inside the airport, and I just did not feel like walking all the way over there. And security was the opposite way, and I just didn't want to waste the energy walking all the way over to the airline table. So I just went through security and just took it really slow. And then when I got home to San Jose, the airport was nice and small and it was pretty easy to get around. So I didn't feel like I really needed a wheelchair in that case. So that is everything. It ended up being a really long episode. Sorry if you had a hard time focusing for that long. I know I do. But thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk again real soon. Okay? All right. Take care. Bye-bye.